Anytime that I get stories from people and they do not know each other, they live hundreds of miles apart, however, they have experienced the exact same thing, those are really going to interest me. And that's what today's compilation video is about as far as user tales. So I am getting stories from many people from all over saying that they are experiencing seeing these blue floating orbs that kind of like pulse. And it'll feel like it's been maybe a 10-minute experience. And then once this orb disappears, they've lost hours of time. We're talking 6 to 8 hours. And then while they are experiencing these things, their electronics do not work. So the second that these blue orbs disappear, phones start to work again, messages are coming through, family is calling them, not being able to find them, doesn't know where they are. But this is something that multiple people have sent me their stories and they are experiencing. So I have 3 stories along those lines that I am going to share with you today. I want to know what you think before I get started. I just want to thank you all for being here so very much. I am really going to focus over here because I feel like if you're here, it's because you really want to be here and this is not being shoved down your throat. And I think that if I can focus over here and fill my cup, maybe I can have some more energy to focus over there. I'm really trying to think of the direction that I want to go with this because I do want to focus over here. So I'm trying to think, do you want to see my face and hear me talk? Would you be okay if it was just better audio and then just like a logo in the background or like a podcast? Do you listen to me like on your way to work while you're cleaning? Would it just be easier for you to just do voice only? Please let me know. As much as I really do love what I do over in the other place, every time one of my videos makes it to the wrong side of it, I recoil a lot because the bullying that I get is insane. And there are even DEA-TH threats that come through. And to me, that is very concerning. So if you're wondering where I've been, that's where I've been. Recoiling. And as always, please excuse my aesthetic. I don't have an aesthetic. I'm just sitting in my kitchen chair at my dresser in my bedroom right now. So like, just look at it as like, we're just girls. We're just talking, you know what I mean? I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyways, let's get to the stories. So every time that I get these stories from people, they always send me these messages and they're like, I'm going to sound crazy. And I'm like, except there are so many people who are experiencing exactly what you're experiencing. Like, I assure you, you're not crazy. The first story that I'm going to share with you today comes from someone who I'm just going to call Allie. Allie said that this happened a few years ago and it was actually at her in-laws' farm. So on the farm, they had a barn and land and animals and all of the fun things. And she would actually go there and she would ride horses. This particular day that this took place, she was out and she was riding horses with, I think it was like a family member, no, cousin. I know that it was another woman that she was with. So Allie and her cousin decide that they want to go ride horses. They go to the barn, they get them all saddled up, they get the gear on them, and they go out and they start to ride the property. It's a beautiful day, everything is wonderful, they're having a great time, a great conversation. As the day goes on, they start to realize the sun is going down, so it's going to be time for them to head back to the barn and just put everything away and get back to their family. Now, this is where Allie says that the first kind of weird thing starts to happen, but as she said, her in-laws owned a large chunk of property, they had lots of animals, and on that farm, animals included in that were goats. Allie said that her and her cousin are kind of coming down a ridge and they notice this goat, and this goat is not looking at them. It is intently staring into the woods at something completely separate. They look back, they try to see what the goat is staring at. They do not see anything. As Allie and her cousin are looking at this goat even more, they realize that it's definitely tracking something in the woods. Like, it is moving, it is watching something move around in the woods. Allie and her cousin look again, they do not see anything. At that point, they actually just think, the goat's just goating, just doing goat stuff, whatever. So while that goat acting like that wouldn't have set off red flags for Allie at first, what happens afterwards, she thinks it's all linked together. Allie and her cousin end up getting back to the barn. They take the horses inside. They're taking all the tack off, taking the saddles off, all of the things. And Allie's cousin says, do you see that? Allie looks outside of the barn and along the wood line, she sees this blue bobbing like orb of light. Allie told me she remembers looking at it and she's almost thinking that it's her in-laws looking for them and it's a flashlight. It looks like someone is carrying a flashlight and just kind of bobbing through the woods. Allie says she actually yells out into the woods and says, hey, we're coming, we're gonna be there in a minute. After she yells this to whoever she thinks is in the woods, it's her family, it's her husband, it's someone she knows, she gets no response, but this blue orb just keeps bobbing along. So Allie and her cousin are still standing in the barn watching this blue orb, and then all of a sudden it breaks the tree line. When the blue orb breaks the tree line, they realize there is nothing carrying this light source. This is not a flashlight. This is just a blue bobbing ball of light. Try saying that 10 times fast. Allie says that her cousin looks at her and she asks her, are you seeing this? And Allie says, yes, I am seeing this. So slowly this light makes its way towards the barn, and they're kind of backing up into the barn a little bit, trying to figure out what the heck this thing is and what is going on. And then this blue orb crosses the door, like crosses the threshold and comes into the barn. Allie said that her and her cousin are just standing there staring at this thing, trying to figure out what the heck this is, and it comes even closer to them. At this point, it has actually even moved behind them, so they're following it around the barn, trying to figure out what the heck it's going to do. After it goes behind them, they say it stops and it hovers. Now at this point, Allie and her cousin get a very good look at this thing, and she says that it's about the size of a beach ball, but then it will condense and go down and be smaller, and then pulse back up, condense, and pulse. Allie's cousin once again asks her, "Are you seeing this?" And Allie says, "Yeah, I'm seeing this. The fly. Summer." Excuse the fly, paid actor, whatever. Side note to that. When you have kids, I don't understand what the rocket science is behind when you go outside, would you please shut the door because you're letting bugs in. And now there's a fly, so. Anyway, as Allie and her cousin are in the barn and they're watching this blue orb just pulse, they become bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. Allie's cousin asks her, "Are you seeing this?" Allie says, "Yeah, I am seeing this." And then they just stand there and they watch this thing for maybe just a few seconds. And then Allie says that it basically rises up to the ceiling. So it rises up to the ceiling, they're both watching it, and then it pops and it's gone. Allie and her cousin are both sitting there looking at each other, wondering what the heck just happened. Did we really just see that? And yeah, they had. And the second that this thing went up to the ceiling, popped, and disappeared, their phones started going off. Alerts started coming in, text messages, voicemails. People had been trying to reach them. When Allie looked down at her phone as these notifications are coming in, she realizes that even though the experience that they had just had with this blue orb felt like maybe it lasted 3-4 minutes, it had been 4 hours. It was very late. Her family was trying to get a hold of her, trying to find her. They could not. They had been calling. They had been texting. "Where are you? Are you okay?" Immediately, Allie responds, "We're fine. We're in the barn. We're coming to the house right now." When Allie gets to the house, her mother-in-law, her father-in-law, her husband, the rest of her family, they're like, "Girl, like, we have been so worried about you. Where have you been? Like, we couldn't find you anywhere. We were yelling for you. You never answered. You wouldn't answer your phone. You wouldn't answer anything." At this point, Allie is thinking, if I tell them what I just experienced, they're definitely going to think that I'm crazy, but I'm just going to throw it out there and I'm going to tell the truth. So she proceeds to tell them about the blue orb in the barn and how it had only felt like 3 minutes, but it had somehow been 4 hours. Now, as she is telling this story, people are looking at her like she is crazy. Everyone except for her mother-in-law. So she finishes telling everyone what had happened, the fact that she had no ill intention, she wasn't trying to make them worry, and her mother-in-law chimed in and said, "Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen that in the barn too." So what Allie and her cousin had experienced that evening is something that her mother-in-law had experienced in the past as well. So it lent credence to the fact that this is what she went through. She wasn't trying to make anybody worried. She wasn't doing anything out of malice. It just was this weird coincidence that she cannot explain. Allie told me that she has never experienced anything like that again, especially not at her in-laws' farm. She's never seen it again, but she still has no explanation as to like that lost gap of time or the fact that none of their electronics were working. And she said, "I know that when people hear these stories, they always think, why didn't you pull out your phone and take a picture?" And she said that this experience that she had with this blue orb felt so fast that she didn't think to pull out her phone. And then when all of the notifications started coming in after this thing had disappeared, she doesn't even know if her phone would have worked while she was in the barn with this blue orb. But she says that when her and her cousin were experiencing this, it did not feel nefarious. It did not feel like it was there to hurt them at all. It was actually this complete feeling of peace and calm that had come over her during that moment when she was there in the barn with this blue orb. She said that nothing about it really scared her other than the fact that she lost that complete chunk of time. When Allie sent me this story, she said I'd be very interested to know if anyone else has ever experienced anything like this. And since this is a compilation video, yeah, they have. And I have more stories. So our next story actually comes to us from someone who we're going to call Jen. Jen said that this took place, honestly, pretty recently. So I think she said it was like 6 months ago. And Jen had decided that she was going to walk through her neighborhood, which was very safe, to a friend's house. Now, this was getting dark, so there was not light outside. Jen said as she is walking down the road, she glances up and she sees what she thinks is light from a street light, but it looks extremely blue in comparison to the other street lights. Jen told me that she's walking down the sidewalk and she is staring at this blue street light, what she thinks it is, and then she notices it is a little ways up from her, but it begins to descend. So instead of being at the same height of the street lights, it is now about eye level with Jen. Now, Jen said that this light is up ahead of her, so she does have some distance that is making her feel safe until this blue orb starts coming towards her. Jen told me that as she is watching this thing, she is just completely frozen. This blue orb continues to come towards Jen. and she is standing there and she is watching this thing. She says it's about 5 feet from her. It is pulsing about the size of a beach ball. It becomes smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger. And she's just standing there completely entranced by this thing. Once again, Jen says she does not feel fear. She feels complete calm. She feels complete peace. Everything is fine. It does not feel nefarious. Now, as Jen is standing there watching this thing, it slowly starts to back away, for lack of a better term, if we're going to give it personification. But it begins to back away. It goes up, and then it shoots off, and it goes over her neighbor's house, and just like that, it's gone. After Jen sees this, she tells me that she decides she does not want to continue walking to her friend's house, and she decides that she is just going to go home. Now, Jen is in her 20s, but she says that she lives with her mother, so she walks home, she goes inside, and her mother asks, "Where the heck have you been? Because it has been 4-5 hours since you left. It is the middle of the night." Jen's mom is so worried. She tells her, "I've tried to call you. I've tried to send you text messages. You will not respond to anything. Where have you been?" And Jen says, "There's no way. There's no way that it's been 4 to 5 hours because I was gone for maybe 5 minutes." Now, Jen told me she's one of those people who always keeps her phone on silent, and to be quite honest with you, I completely relate because I do the exact same thing. But she told me that she had kept her phone on silent. So she reaches in her bag and she pulls out her phone, and she realizes that she has this influx of notifications from her friend, from her mom, just people trying to figure out where the heck she is. Now, at this point, Jen's mom is big mad at her because she feels like she has done this on purpose. She was just not caring. And I think as a mom, when your kids do something like this, I don't even think that it's so much that you're angry, but you are fearful, and that fear just comes out as anger because you are just, the emotions of not knowing where your children are is something that you can't explain unless you are a mom. But Jen realizes that her mom is like super duper mad. So she decides, you know what, I'm just gonna lay it on the table the same way that Allie did from our first story and tell my mom exactly what I experienced. Even though my mom is gonna think I'm crazy and that I'm probably making this up, the best thing that I can do is just be honest with her. So she goes on and she tells her mom about the blue pulsing orb that she saw, how it only felt like a few minutes. She has no idea how 4 to 5 hours had passed since she had left their house. Now, Jen tells this story thinking absolutely there is no way that her mom is going to believe her, but she says when she tells her mom this story, her mom's eyes get as big as saucers and she just stands there and stares at her. Jen is thinking, I'm about to really get it because now I've really made her mad. But after Jen tells her mom this story, her mom says, "You've seen it too. You've seen it too. You've seen the orb too. You've seen it." And Jen is like, oh my goodness. So not only had Jen experienced the blue orb, but her mother had as well. And she had also had like blocks of lost time when she would see this thing. Now, her mom said that she has actually seen it multiple times. And sometimes she will even see it just like kind of floating above houses in the neighborhood, but it doesn't come down and actually interact with her the way that it had previously. But Jen's mom ends up telling her, "I completely believe you because I've experienced that too, and I have no idea what it is." And Jen tells me, "I still have no idea what it is," but as she agrees with Allie in our last story, this thing does not feel nefarious and it doesn't make you feel fearful. It just puts you like at complete calm and complete ease. The only scary thing about it is the fact that she lost this big chunk of time. Now, one detail that Jen did send to me at the very end of the story was that her mom not only called and texted her, but also went out and looked for her as well. Now, she was not far from her house, but Jen's mom was never able to physically see her outside. So she doesn't know if this little lost block of time took her to like a separate dimension, or maybe it took her somewhere and she doesn't remember, but her mom was not able to see her physically outside when she was looking for her. So of all things that scared Jen with this experience, that lost block of time and the fact that her mom, even though she was in her neighborhood, went out looking for her and could not find her, that scares her. Don't mind my dog, he's just a beagle doing beagle things. Now, the next story that came to me about this blue orb pulsing light is actually a little bit different than the others. So this one also comes to us from an equestrian who experienced something while she was out riding her horse at night. We're going to go ahead and we're going to call this person Anna, but Anna said that one of her favorite things to do was to trail ride when it was a full moon outside. So she knew the trails and she was still able to see, but this was just something that she really enjoyed doing. One night she goes to the barn where she boards her horse and she gets everything put on, the tack, the saddle, whatever. She goes off and she goes riding. Everything is going normally, just as it always would without a hitch. She knows these trails. She feels really safe. Now, Anna told me that her horse is not the type that will spook. Like, she's just not a spookable horse, and I'm not an equestrian, so take that with what you will. But she says that her horse does not spook easily. However, this evening they're out, they're riding, and she says that her horse stops dead in its tracks, like not moving, like refusing to go forward. And the horse is just scanning the woods. And Anna says she feels fear. Like she feels like something is off. There's just this gut feeling that something's not right. So as Anna's horse is stopped, ears down, just very tense, looking around, Anna is feeling this fear. Her horse is obviously feeling it as well. The horse is just scanning the woods, and all of a sudden, Anna says that she hears what sounds like a screaming woman. Now, at first, Anna says, like, look, this is the wilderness. This is outside. It could be a fox. It could be a mountain lion. It could be any of these things. But if that's the case, we definitely need to get back to the barn because I don't want to get hurt. I don't want my horse to get hurt. And before she even gives the command for her horse to turn around and run, the horse just turns around, takes off, and heads back to the barn. Now, Anna says that her horse was not a fast horse, but this horse was running faster than she had ever seen before. And she said normally her horse running this fast to get back to the barn is not something that she would have supported because it teaches bad behavior tendencies, and she would have slowed the horse down. But the fear that she was feeling was like, run like the wind, baby girl, because we are out of here. Now, at this point, Anna is the only one who is at the barn, in the barn. So her horse runs, makes it back to the barn. She gets inside. She's taking all the tack off. She's getting ready to put her horse away, and she feels like something is watching her. So she glances out the barn doors onto the wood line, and she says that what she sees is a bobbing ball of light. And once again, just like with Allie, she's thinking, this is someone with a flashlight out in the woods, but there shouldn't be anybody out here. So I'm just going to put my horse away, and I need to get the heck out of Dodge. So she puts her horse away, makes sure that the horse is safe, closes the barn doors, makes sure that everything is locked up so that all the other horses in there are going to be safe for the evening. And she goes to look for her keys. She remembers exactly where she had put them. She goes there, she is not able to find them. Now, she knows she is the only one in the barn, and she is looking everywhere for her keys. She's looked in the place she thought she left them, all the possible places where they could be, and she is just not finding anything. So as she is continuing to look around for her keys, she is exasperated. She just wants to get out of there, but she cannot find her keys. Next thing she knows, she says she hears her barn manager's voice say, "They're right here." Anna tells me she whips up and kind of looks around because she's thinking, what the heck is my barn manager doing here so late? I know that like she shouldn't be here, but if she is, like, that does kind of put me at ease a little bit. So she whips around. No one is there. No one is there. This voice sounded like it was coming right from behind her, but there's nothing. And she goes back initially to where she thinks that she had left the keys first, and they're right there where she had looked the first time, just hanging on the hook, just waiting for her. At this point, Anna is feeling really freaked out. Like, she is not liking this. She is not happy. She grabs her keys and she goes to her car. Now remember, it's very dark outside. As she is walking to her car, she glances across the road, and across the road from the barn, she says, is like this old graveyard, but it is quite large. So she's walking to her car, she glances at the graveyard, and over in the graveyard, she sees this floating ball of light again. She says it looks like it's coming from almost like a lantern that someone would carry on a hook, and it's pulsing and kind of glowing a little bit. Now, while this bobbing ball of light does have Anna's attention, she says she is able to kind of snap herself out of it and just be like, nope, I'm getting in my car and I'm going home. This is not happening. I am not dealing with this. She gets in her car and she drives off. To drive off, she has to pass this graveyard where she is seeing this bobbing ball of light. And she says that as she's driving past the graveyard, that thing is still there. There is no person holding it. There's nothing. It's just this bobbing, pulsing ball of light. Now, I think Anna said that like a little part of her really did want to go investigate to figure out what this thing was, but the sensible part of her said, I'm absolutely not going into that graveyard to figure out what this thing is. I am not waiting for it to come closer to me. I am getting the heck out of here. So she says she floors it. She drives as fast as she can across town. She gets to her house. She gets out of her car. She goes inside. She locks the door, makes sure like 10 times that all the windows and all of the doors in her house are locked. She just doesn't feel right. So after she checks for the 10th time that all of the doors and all of the windows are locked, she says that she just collapses. She is completely exhausted from this experience, almost like this thing has sucked all of the energy out of her. She just cannot even stand up anymore. So she goes to her bed, she collapses, and she says the second that her head hits the pillow, she is asleep. Anna told me that night while she is asleep, she has this very lucid dream about this floating ball of light, this orb, and it's a nightmare. She's not feeling good about it. It feels nefarious. It feels like it's malicious. Like it's a very bad nightmare. Anna told me that the dream that she is having, the nightmare that she is having, feels so lucid and so real that she actually remembers in the dream deciding to wake up. She doesn't want to do this anymore. She realizes she's dreaming and kind of shakes herself awake. Now, Anna didn't feel like she had been in this dream for very long, but she does shake herself awake, her eyes open, and she looks around her room and realizes that it is no longer nighttime, it's daytime. So So she grabs her phone and looks at it and realizes that she has been asleep for 17 hours. Anna told me she is not the type of person who will sleep that long. That is not her vibe. That is not what she does. That is not normal for her. And even though she had slept for those 17 hours, she still felt completely drained the next day. As Anna went into detail about the nightmare that she was having that night after she got home and was feeling like very uneasy, she said that in the dream, the floating orb wasn't just an orb, but it was carried like on one of those hook poles. And she said that it looked like what was carrying it was like the Grim Reapers. Like it was not happy with her, that she didn't want to interact with it, that she completely ignored it. It was like it wanted her attention, but she was not allowing it to have that pull over her. And the next thing that she knows, she's having this nightmare where this thing is chasing her. Anna told me she's never experienced anything like that again. She's never experienced anything in the barn. She's never experienced anything on any other trail ride. She's never heard that screaming again, which she said she can explain the screaming away as an animal. That happens. Foxes sound like that. Mountain lions sound like that. Like that's not something that's like really unexplainable unless you look at the entire picture of what happened to her that night. So while Anna didn't lose a chunk of time as our other stories had, she did end up sleeping for 17 hours and has no idea how that was possible. So to everyone who sent those stories in, thank you so much for sending those to me. If you'd like to send me a story, there's an email in my bio on here, and I would absolutely love to read them. I hope that you guys enjoyed the little bit of the longer format today. I really did enjoy doing it. I enjoy this like a lot. And as always, with learning anything new, there are going to be kinks to work out. So just bear with me. I've ordered some equipment that I think will make the audio better. It was just like a money thing. Like I had to like make money. Like I had to like work my job and like make money to be able to afford that stuff. So, but like I said, I really want to start focusing over here because I really enjoy this over here. And I feel like our little community that we have over here is like, it's so sweet and it's so fun. And I really love you guys. And I like being over here because like I said, it's not shoved down everyone's throat. Like if you want to hear this stuff, like you're here because you want to. And that like, it means so much to me and I really do appreciate it. But I really would love everyone's thoughts on like the direction that we're going to go. Like, do we want like face to face? Like I can do that. Or would we rather just do like a podcast type where you guys just have better audio that you can like listen to in the car or while you're cleaning? Like, please just let me know your thoughts on that because as always, like I just want to do kind of what everyone is going to enjoy the most. And I enjoy it. All I'm doing is yapping, you know, like I can yap into a microphone and not have my face on here. It doesn't bother me. But thank you for allowing me to fill my cup with my little community over here because this is honestly really where my heart is. So I'm really going to start focusing over here. So if you guys are here, like it means the world to me and I really appreciate you so much. So I hope that everyone has a great day. And this week I'm going to be pumping out some longer formats. I'm really going to focus on this. So thank you again. I don't know how many times I can say that. I'm ridiculous. Okay, bye.